Welcome back. You're watching Business Today on KTN News, the only name in business. We're now joined by Elvin Isiko from Wina Classic. We want to talk matters value addition in the leather products, in the leather industry in the country, and by and large East Africa, and what the new policy by government portends for hides and skins. Elvin, good to see you. You have been in the game for 20 years now. Talk to us about some of the trends that you're seeing in the consumption of leather products, both in retail and in large scale.
Thank you for having me, George. It's a pleasure being at the KTN studios. Well, you've mentioned about the 20 years. Originally, we're a Ugandan company.
Okay.
We've been in the business for a while. Primarily, we were a luxury boutique where we were retailing luxury menswear, representing brands across Germany, Europe, and Italy. But as time went on, the customers were having had services for the dry cleaning and other items, but for the leather, they didn't really know where to service or how to keep their leather in good condition. So the idea was born out of that, that we service the leather products, so that leather products could be shoes, bags, belts, wallets, anything leather. On top of that, if let's say you have a leather sofa set, an aircraft with leather seats or a boat, we also do the services for restoring and refurbishing. So coming from Uganda, we looked at the Kenyan market, and we've been having also some customers from Kenya who inquire and say, look, when are you guys crossing the border to come and provide the same services? So we decided to come here. We've been here 3 months in Kenya, and so far the market is very good. It's promising because the people here already, as you've mentioned, the retail trend in Kenya is that the government is focusing a lot on the leather industry because it's becoming a key player in the global market. Because if you look at Kenya, you have the local artisans, the Juakali, you have places like Karioko Market where you're producing these locally made crafts, which are very nice, and these are being exported all over the world, and they're being seen all over the world. So from the retail perspective, the consumers are very aware of what they want. They're very aware of the quality because there's resources like internet. There's also courses on university, diploma, where people are learning about leather and the different qualities. So people are very educated. So they know what they want, and they want value for money. Now, if you look at the wholesale perspective, some of the global players, even now in Kenya, they're looking at sustainability. How do we produce, but at the same time, we don't damage the environment? Because, for example, the wildlife is very important to Kenya. It brings in a lot of money. So you can't go around shooting zebras and lions to produce leather. So all this has to be done in a sustainable manner, so that anything that feeds into the leather industry is done legally and also is also sustainable in the long run without damaging all the other sectors.
Beyond the profits.
Yes.
Amazing. So what opportunities do you see in the East African market and, of course, the African market at large, particularly with regard to leather products and leather production?
Yes, right now the opportunities are that people want quality. The consumers know what they want. So how do we fit into that gap? One of our ethos, our main ethos at Wina Classic is that it's quality and elegance. So in whatever we do, we focus on quality and we make sure the customer is happy. And if the customer is unhappy, how do we resolve the matter? So we always focus on quality, producing quality products. Right now, Wina Classic Kenya has a manufacturing license from the Kenya Investment Authority. So with that license, what we need to do is, what we are going to do actually is we're going to go into manufacturing of leather footwear and leather accessories. So with that license, at the same time, is that we are still doing the refurbishment and the restoration. So we're not going to leave that. But we are looking at the leather market saying that, look, people want quality, people know what they want. So how do we fit into that gap?
How do you measure up?
Yes, how do we measure up? And right now, with so many African governments looking at import substitution, they're trying to rely less on the importation of goods. So if you look at some of the recent policies, like the ban on importation of second-hand items, and then there's increased taxes on the imported goods. So the governments are saying, look, Africans, you can do this. You can make the right products for yourselves, but even not just for yourselves, but you can export them out to the world as well. Because we are seeing some countries in Africa where they began exporting, and the raw material, just the raw material, but even some of the finished products are getting mileage in some of the exhibitions in Europe, in Asia. So in Kenya, I think right now the government is on the right track with the leather industry, because they're setting up the leather industrial park, which is going to be very important in terms of helping the leather industry and the players. And also the policies they are putting in place are also guiding towards that. So in the near future, I think we're going to see some really important changes in the leather industry and even more appreciation from the local market.
From the local market. You've talked about the local market and some of the policies that the government is bringing on board. But now, how do we boost the export market? How do we boost supply to the export market as far as leather products is concerned?
Yes. Now, first of all, there are so many trained professionals, because in Kenya, there are so many courses that offer information about leather. So right from the very bottom level, all the way through diploma, degree, all the way to PhD. So people have the information, people have the skills. Then also we have the local artisans, like in Karioko, who are doing the beading and leather work. So the skills are there, the education and the knowledge is there. So the only way we can boost that is we organize ourselves as the leather industry and say, look, the world needs products from Kenya or from East Africa or Africa, but let's do it in an organized manner. What are the standards that we need to meet? What are the requirements in terms of in the regulations? Do we just mix any old chemicals? Do we follow a specific guideline? Do we need ISO certifications? All that. So we have the right measures in place. Then also get the right people in skilling. So that is right from the artisans all the way up to the management. Because although you may have the artisans, but they need to have a good leader, good structures, good systems in place that ensure that the quality is very good, the products are consistent, because you may get an order today, you deliver the first one, the second one, the third one is, oh sorry, we don't have enough, I don't know,
we're not able to
something.
sustain the supply and all those kind of yada 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 conversations. Last question today. Even before we talk about the export market, there is the issue of our own perceptions, our own culture as a country, as a jurisdiction with regard to consuming local products. I mean, somebody would want to purchase Gucci, Fendi, and Balenciaga and the like, leather products from those other companies, foreign companies, but they will not purchase things like products from Arani leather products, or even Yellow leather, or even Joka Jok by Ted Josiah. What should inform our internal policy or our internal culture of purchasing what is ours as Africans? Because sometimes they feel the price is too high, but even if you look at the margins that they're making, it's not so much. But you are getting quality product, but you'd rather buy Gucci, Fendi, Balenciaga and the like, and not get even Wina Classic.
Yes. Now, that's a very important question and a very good one. First of all, the manufacturers, the retailers, the local retailers, they need to look inward and say, look, we need to have a minimum standard. Because if I'm going to present my product in a certain way, because Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all those brands, they have a very good presentation. In some cases, in a lot of cases, it's all about perception. Because it doesn't mean that necessarily it's a very high price, that's a very high quality. It doesn't translate to that. So the local retailers and the local manufacturers need to set a minimum standard that is of a very high quality and consistent. The next step on that is that the advertising, the communication, the information, because you're putting your product out there, but how do the clients maintain it? What products do they use? And also informing the clients that if you're buying this product, it's for ABCD. Tell the client you can't use a leather sole when you're working in a farm. If you need a shoe for working in a farm, buy ABCD. Don't just throw a product at the customer and then think, because what happens in the end is that when the customer uses or the client uses the product in the wrong way, then they'll think it's poor quality, but it was wrong application. Yes. So the manufacturers and the retailers need to give the proper information, but also as Africans, sometimes we look at these policies and say the government has increased the taxes or done all these things. It's not because the government is fighting the people, but it's trying to say we need to look inwards and start consuming our own. Because as much as the Gucci and Louis Vuitton look good, but they all started somewhere. They didn't just start from 100%.
Exactly.
They started from 0%.
Sure.
So we need to, the consumers need to support the manufacturers, the retailers, and even getting the message out there. Because what stops you from, let's say, visiting a shop in London, and if you see a made in Kenya product, and you say, you know what, I'm a Kenyan, let me support this. Yes. Instead of walking in and you see a Kenyan product and you say, and ignore. You say, you don't even look at it, and you don't even tell the people around you that this is this is made in Kenya.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Many thanks, Elvin, for joining us on this conversation. We have been speaking to Elvin, who is the regional manager at Wina Classic, which is a leather producing farm. They have just made their way into the Kenyan market after staying in Uganda for 20 years. We'll be seeing what they have been,